You ask questions, and we'll give you concise answers, except for Sean.
What do you mean ask questions?
Out of film.
Right. Sorry, I don't know your name.
James Scott.
James Scott. Pierce Doughty Brown. Sean Clerkin.
Otherwise known as...
You've got Alzheimer's.
Otherwise...
I think I have it tight. Oh, I felt like that this morning.
Pierce Shouty Brown. You are a bastard.
Sean the Raginator Clerkin. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. Sean, I'm going to call you Sean Raginator Clerkin. This is recording, by the way, so...
No, sorry?
This is recording.
Oh, is it?
Aye. It was deliberate, it was just to get you slightly relaxed. So, ladies and gentlemen of Scotland, I am in George Square, better known as... What is it? Peace Square? Freedom Square. In front of the Scott Monument with Sean Clerkin, Pierce Doughty Brown and James Scott, who have all been quite prominent in their opposition to the Red Tories, the Purple Tories, the Yellow Tories and even the Blue Tories in their various guises. They also work very much with the Anti-austerity campaign and against Atos, who's now Maximus, who are punishing people for being unemployed by refusing the benefits. So gentlemen, are we feeling quite happy today?
Elated.
Absolutely elated. What I would say is that, what I would say very clearly is that this is a victory for the people of Scotland against austerity, because the Red Tories, known as the Labour Party, support austerity and they've been voted out, and the lies that were told about being anti-austerity have been, the people showed that they didn't believe any of the lies. But what lies ahead for us is that the SNP go down to Westminster with a new Tory government in track, and basically the austerity cuts of 30 billion will take place. And what we've got to now campaign for very, very assiduously is to campaign for Scottish independence so that we can be free of Tory austerity forever and have redistribution of income and wealth in a more equal Scottish society. And that's what I'll be campaigning assiduously for from now on.
You know, this is a fantastic day, but it's only another long step, big step in a very long journey. You know, I have some difficulty in remaining active for any very long periods, but I do intend to continue to campaign. And you know, every MSP must now look to themselves and look to today and think about 2016, because we will continue to campaign for them. And when 2016 is done, we'll be campaigning for 2017 to sort out the city council. So you know, it's a long. It's going to be. It's still a long journey. But if you think about it, it's as if the referendum was yesterday. And you know, by the time 2016 comes, it'll seem like the referendum was last week, and today was yesterday. So we're not going to stop. We've been criticised for some of our tactics, which were vastly misreported by the press, and they know. You know, we've exposed James Cook for the way he dealt with us two. Alex Thompson for the way he's dealt with us too, and me personally. What the press need to do going forward is learn that in many instances, multimedia is actually stronger than the mainstream media, and they should learn lessons from that and report accurately. Yeah, I've received abuse. I don't think you did so much, but I certainly do know that James did as well. It quietened down once we actually posted the truth. But you know, that's some lessons to be learned, not only by our MSPs, particularly the Labour ones, because it's squeaky bottom time now, but also by the media. They need to learn. James.
Right. What I witnessed at the Jim Murphy incident was all three of us were assaulted. I was attacked by two Labour thugs and thrown back. Luckily, there was a cardboard box behind me to save me in the fall. Sean was attacked and he was thrown over. Piers was attacked and got a black eye. Now, what is particularly disgusting about the British media is that in full view of all the newspapers, in full view of all the TV cameras, they witnessed the three of us being attacked and never reported any of these incidents. Instead of that, they made out that we were three hooligans. Now, The strange thing was, in the evening news, they were broadcasting riots from Tel Aviv, water cannon, hundreds of police, people getting injured with water cannons. Now let's go to the riots in Glasgow. A couple of guys with megaphones shouting against Jim Murphy and a transvestite.
Well, I mean, I don't have any problem with the transvestite whatsoever. But what I would say is that there was a girl injured by apparently it was Labour thugs, to the point where she had to go to the hospital for stitches.
Yes.
And if you look at all the footage in the whole, Sean getting beaten by one of the Labour activists, and I know it's a Labour activist because she's been at every do that we've been at. What's his name? Was it Sam or Ben? I never quite get it right. But another one of our activists getting pulled by his rucksack until the person doing the pulling realised he was on camera. Then turned that into a pat. We've been criticised for our tactics, but what we did do, and this is important, we showed what a fraud Jim Murphy was. We showed that, and the press don't help. You see Jim Murphy there with maybe 15, 20 supporters? T-shirts come out of their bags, the placards are handed around, the press who criticised us because they couldn't interview him, the press then get close-ups, which makes it look as if he's in a sea of support, adoring fans. It's not. The press outnumbered him the other day. The hecklers. There's about 6 of us.
That's right.
Can I just say that as well, that what we did on Monday was good old-fashioned democratic tradition of political heckling, which is a long-established democratic tradition and non-violent. And the thing about it is, the number of people that have come up to me and says, well done, congratulations, we actually got more support for the SNP by what we did, and by what we did, and we didn't lose support, we gained support from by our actions. We didn't lose support, and a backhanded compliment was given to us this morning by Janet Street Porter on Good Morning Britain or whatever on ITV, saying that those hooligans got Jim Murphy put out. Well, we did get Jim Murphy put out, but we're not hooligans. But what I will say, I'll tell you that Mr. Murphy is a fraud. He's committed fraud by taking over £1 million in taxpayers' expenses over the last 10 years, and in addition to that, the Labour Party we're going to go ahead with £30 billion worth of cuts, which the Tories will now go ahead with. But what we are now going to do is campaign for independence, to get that, to free Scotland, to have a redistribution of income and wealth, and have a socialist Scotland in 2017.
I don't think we can claim credit for Jim Murphy's demise at all. All we can do is say that we showed the truth about Jim Murphy. People of Scotland made a decision about whether he went or didn't.
We helped with that.
I just think we highlighted it. Again, it was criticised. So Margaret Curran, when we myself and Helen Terran did the video of her and interviewed her, that was misreported by her on several occasions. She's gone because we showed she was a liar, and this is why Labour seal themselves into these. Somebody's got a good word for it, is it? These bubbles. You can't get near them. You can't get near them as an ordinary voter. Even when we went to see Mrs. Curran, Helen Tennant, a close activist, that's her constituency. She wouldn't speak to them. Sean tried to speak to Jim Murphy because Jim Murphy was, emphasise the word was, his MP wouldn't speak to him.
That is, big was.
Well, as someone who follows social media very carefully, I've watched a lot of the reporting, and not just Labour, the Tories, the Lib Dems had very closed meetings. There was Thursday and Wednesday night, the guy down in London who was protesting about Boris Johnson's Jokolowitz thing, getting turfed out of their thing, mate, because they don't want to meet the general public. Hardly any of them have actually spoke. The only time they did it, the three of them stood in front of them in Leeds and got barracked endlessly, and they looked very uncomfortable, all three of them. because they get exposed right, left and centre of all their policies.
That's the important point that Piers has highlighted. The Labour politicians were hermetically sealed.
Yeah.
They were basically they were in a bubble. They were in a protective bubble. They were not engaging with ordinary members of the general public. The fact of the matter is, what we did on Monday was force the issue on austerity out into the public domain, and basically forced him to defend himself, and basically pointed out the weaknesses in the fraud he was. That's what we pointed out on Monday, and that's been our contribution to this whole thing. We helped the people of Scotland make the right decision on Thursday.
We basically put a huge pin into Labour Party, Scottish Labour Party's bubble. I'm going to touch on the subject because I think it's right to. I've had a lot of support on social media. A lot of people saying I should never have been suspended, and I know that Sean agrees that, you know, in his view, neither myself nor James should have been suspended from the SNP for our actions. However, I take the opposite view, because I think what the SNP have done is set an example to other parties. When an allegation is received, deal with it. You know, it was absolutely the right thing to do.
Well, you've got to look at a certain Mr. Smart, who was still up to, even during last night, the fascist and you know, supporting Hitler and stuff. He was still ranting away, and Labour did nothing about him.
No,
there was no. Yeah, you know, no suspensions, no investigations.
There's not less to suspend him now, is there?
Well, yeah.
I make a distinction between two different protests that I attended. The Jim Murphy protest, which I attended along with Piers and Sean on Monday, was a complete contrast to the following day when it was Gordon Brown that actually visited Glasgow in Mitchell Lane. Now, on the Monday at the Jim Murphy event, there was two plainclothes police officers. There was no uniformed police officers that we saw there at all. They made out that we were hooligans, yet none of us were questioned by police. None of us were charged with any offence.
We didn't do any offence.
Because we didn't do anything. If police had been there, they would probably have arrested the people that attacked us.
Correct.
Which would have made a complete,
and we actually
complete difference.
The Labour thugs that attacked us. That's what happened on Monday.
To be honest with you, because we are so active, we actually know the plainclothes police officers that police these events, and they weren't even there.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I know
it was
that
a set-up.
It was a set-up. I watched afterwards. I watched the footage, and Jim, one of our comrades, had the placard up and standing still, and Jim deliberately walked straight into it.
Jim Murphy walked deliberately into that.
Yes, that was. There was a highlight of that on social media the other day. People showed it. People showed it. Yeah.
Could I just go on
Near
to the next
Gordon
day?
Brown, man. Yeah.
Because it's very important that this is pointed out to people. How, in the first incident with the Jim Murphy, there was only two plainclothes.
Oh, come closer, feel free. Come on.
Two plainclothes police officers at that incident. But see, the second day when it was Gordon Brown who visited Mitchell Lane, he actually visited the Lighthouse building in Mitchell Lane. It's an area I know very well because I used to work for the Glasgow Herald Evening Times when they were actually based in Mitchell Lane. Now at that event there was 3 police vans, 2 police cars, over 30 uniformed police officers, 2 special branch police officers that approached me to speak to me because the only protesters at that event were 4 members of the Scottish Resistance, which is the group that I am with. So it was a completely different contrast to the day before at the Murphy incident when there was only 2 plainclothes police officers.
So interestingly, at the Murphy incident, you know, I've been to several of them now, and it's the same old faces doing the same pushing. They want to provoke an incident. They want one of us to be violent, which I don't do violence at all.
They're non-violent protest.
Exactly. Shouty Doughty is a name I've suddenly seemed to have acquired from somewhere. I have got a loud voice, but that's it. We did nothing wrong.
Can I just say to you, the thing I would also say about Monday was it was a defining moment in the campaign. I think people in the streets, the people in the communities who would have seen it, actually supported what we were doing, the political heckling that we were doing. We did not condemn it, they supported everybody I came up against, said, well done Sean, you did the right thing. So I stand by what we did, and I think we did the right thing. But it does prove one thing: the political parties have got to re-engage with members of the general public, because in this election they were hermetically sealed off. Apart from the SNP, the rest were trying to hermetically seal themselves off, and that is wrong. They've got to engage with members of the general public. But from this time forward now, we have to campaign for Scottish independence, so that we get a society which redistributes income and wealth away from the Tories over the next 5 years. And we have to have a referendum in 2017 where we have a vote for independence and have an independent socialist Scotland.
Do you know what I'd like to do? And I know it's going to be a surprise to the people involved. We've got some people watching us over here. I'd love to get their view of what we've been up to. Pan left.
Absolutely support the guys 100%.
Thank you for that.
That stage-managed episode with Mr. Murphy was absolutely ridiculous. I've seen the independent photographs taken from other angles. There was no riot, there was no disorder in the streets of Glasgow. It was orchestrated. Well done to the guys.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
And funny enough, you know...
So, now, at the start I was asking you about how you feel now. Now, the threes have done a lot with Atos, helping people who are claiming benefits and getting sanctioned. It's now Maximus, so what are your plans coming up?
What can I say?
Because Holyrood's not going to start for maybe 6 months to 7 months before they start all that again, so...
Sorry,
yeah.
I say as chair of Maximus. As
Maximus.
Chairperson as chairman of Glasgow against Maximus, chairperson of Glasgow against Maximus, that we will be continuing to engage in a full throttle campaign to have the work capability assessment stopped. Also, in addition, Socialist, with the other company doing the assessments for PITs, for personal independence payments, who are actually part of the Scottish Government, we will be saying that's got to stop as well, because we want to see all disabled people get benefits, and basically should not be getting assessed for it on a work capability assessment. The determining factors should be themselves and their health professional, the GP or their consultant should determine whether they wish to go back to work or not, and that is where they should continue to get the benefits irrespective, and there should be no work capability assessment of any kind. It should be taken away completely, and we're campaigning for that complete eradication, and we will continue to work together on that over the months and perhaps year ahead on that.
I am disabled. I've got a life-changing disability. It came out of the blue about 4 years ago, and so I am on these benefits. But I worked for 21 years as a nurse, 8 years as a senior union officer. I think I absolutely deserve this. I should not, though, like many other people in this country, be afraid to open the mail in case it's that letter saying, forget it, you've lost your benefits. That's terrible. And you cannot imagine, unless you're on those benefits, you cannot imagine how frightening the letterbox is.
Right, what I'm going to say is this Labour Party, they're now down to one seat. The workers of Scotland are beginning to realise that Labour do not represent the working class anymore. It's time for the rest of the workers of this country to rise up and get rid of them completely. They've got one seat, let's get rid of them completely so they've got no seats. It's disgraceful that we have people working in Poundland for no wages at all, absolutely no wages. And there are people going to food banks, and then we are oil rich. When you look at all the other countries in the world that have oil, they are all multi-rich, and it's disgusting that we're having to put up with this. Let's kill off Labour completely, get rid of them. They are not socialists, they do not stand up for the workers. Stand up for Scotland, get rid of Labour completely.
I honestly think that this has been a long interview and we're going to have to wrap up because my voice is going. But I just pick up on something that James just said. I think it was Frankie Boyle who said, fancy working in Poundland, but everything is worth £1 except for you. That's killed them off.
Yeah. Thank you.
No bother at all.
Thank you.